Well, thank you very much for this kind introduction. And let me start by also extending on behalf of the European Commission my congratulations to the Estonian Academy of Sciences for this special anniversary. And also thank you once again for this lovely dinner which we had last night. So it's really great to see so many good old friends back at this amazing dinner. Scientific support to policy making. In the program it says 5 ingredients for success, but I discovered on my way coming here that there's a 6th one which I want to bring to your attention. We have at the European Commission quite some experience over many, many years with scientific support to policy making. And that is very much related to the different fields we cover, whether it's health or food safety. We heard yesterday something about the swine flu. We have in the field of climate and energy all kinds of advisory mechanisms which already during many, many years advise the different Commission departments on the formulation of policy. Yet it was considered important by President Juncker to create at European level a high-level mechanism to provide scientific support to strategic policy making. And this is something which we have set up a couple of years ago, and I'm very grateful that one of the members of this high-level group which is providing scientific support to policy, Janusz, is there with us today, and he certainly will say more about it. And we have learned a lot over the last couple of years how you can do scientific support to policy making in an effective way. I think the first ingredient for success is there is a need, and there should be a need for a clear mandate with well-defined responsibilities and working methods. And with regard to this mechanism which we have at European level, called SAM, S-A-M, we have a very clear Commission decision where the mandate of this high-level group, which is supposed to provide scientific support to policymaking, is laid down. Here you see part of the text, which are, I think, extremely well drafted, because it says exactly what this high-level mechanism should do and should not do. It makes, for instance, reference to the fact that we have already a lot of advisory body in place at the moment. We also very much in this mandate underline the independence of the scientific advice, and we also indicate in this document, and I just cited here 3 articles, the working methods of this high-level group. So I think the first ingredient for success of scientific support to policymaking is a very clear mandate with clearly defined responsibilities and tasks, so that there's no misunderstanding about it. The second, I think, ingredient for successful scientific support to policymaking is to have a person or a group of persons of undisputed high reputation. Whether there are single persons who are chief scientific advisors, and we find that, for instance, in New Zealand and Australia and the United States, or whether there is a group of persons, like we have at European level, the SAM group, you can only let that function with credibility if these people are of a level, if they have a reputation which is undisputed, and that they are recognized by their peers as really first-class top scientists. I think that is quite essential, and we have succeeded in finding these people. And here you see them, the photos of them. And the current chair is Rolf-Dieter Hoyer. He was the former Director General of CERN and an amazing science communicator, but also an amazing scientist. It includes Sir Paul Nurse, Nobel laureate from the UK. So this is quite, I think, a group of extremely high-level people who are recognized by their peers of being top scientists who know what they talk about. The third ingredient for success is that there should be well-defined demands for policymaking. And that was already mentioned just before in the introduction, that politicians always want to have results or advice tomorrow, or even better, yesterday. And it doesn't work like that. So I remember quite well that when we at the European Commission, for some, were doing the round of all the commissioners, asking the different commissioners in the field of environment and energy, what are your needs for scientific support to policy making? We had a couple of reactions. First of all, people were for the first time really thinking in a strategic way about what it is they would need for future policy initiatives. But secondly, many said, oh, I'm about to come with a new initiative in 2 months from now. Can I get advice on that? And of course, it doesn't work like that. What also I find quite interesting is that there were commissioners putting forward, I think with good intentions, policy initiatives or ideas for policy initiatives which do not require any scientific support. I remember there was one request with regards to young professionals management inside the European Commission, how we can do it more effectively, young professionals program. Well, this is not really the type of topic which requires scientific advice. So it was also, I think, quite an interesting learning phase for the European Commission itself to really plan these policy initiatives a bit more longer term, to identify the right questions, because if you ask the right questions, you can provide the right answers. So it starts with that. So for me, the third important ingredient for the success of scientific support to policy making, and we learned that again from what we do at European level, is well-defined demands for policy making. And as I mentioned here, we have from the side of the European Commission and the individual commissioners' requests, and these are then filtered to the group of chief scientific advisors, the group called SAM. Now, the fourth ingredient for success is a robust evidence gathering method. And that is, of course, essential, because if there are clearly formulated requests for scientific support to policy making, it is important that one of the first actions which are being taken is to do evidence gathering. What is the state of the knowledge at the moment in this specific field on the specific question? And there we have decided not to do that ourselves, but we have created a partnership with the European Academies of Sciences. This is known as SAPEA, and you see that here, where we have brought together a number of the European academies in a partnership way. We have provided money for that, and the idea is that this collectivity of the European academies is providing the evidence, the information, the knowledge which is necessary for the high-level group to formulate its opinions. I'm extremely grateful to the presidents of these academies who joined forces and decided together to work with us. That was not easy, as Professor Kloeting knows quite well, because he's one of the main drivers of this initiative, and extremely grateful to see it for your personal commitment. But I think it functions extremely well, and this is essential for the functioning of SAM, that there is a very solid group of organizations which really can provide the evidence, the information, and the knowledge that is available on a specific topic. This group is, of course, having an enormous network in Europe, because it's not just the academies. If you look what the academies have as contact with learned societies and universities and research teams, it's just extremely impressive. And that is, I think, how we should work at European level, in full partnership with, of course, national academies and learned organizations. Now then, I think the fifth ingredient is, of course, how the advice is then presented to the policymaker. And this has to be crystal clear, clearly presented, and well communicated. And I think it's quite interesting that we were just shown the 20 recommendations from The Guardian, because politicians, of course, have not a lot of time to read. They want to think clear. They don't want issues like, well, we propose that more research is being done, or that we get more money to do more research on a specific topic. They want to have things crystal clear, clearly presented, and well communicated. This is the only way in getting the politician's ear, is by clear, precise, and to communicate things extremely well. At the end of the day, it's of course the responsibility of the politician to take the responsibility and to decide whether or not to follow the recommendation. Let me give you some examples of the reports which so far has been issued by the high-level group. These are on cybersecurity, it's food from the oceans, it is about plant protection products, agriculture, biotechnology, carbon capture and storage, so the CO2 emission of light vehicles. So this is just a collection of the advice which some has been given up to now. Advice each time at the request of a European Commissioner who wanted to make new policy or develop new initiatives at political level. The last ingredient, and that's the sixth ingredient, which I did not have when I gave 6 months ago my title, and that is feedback. A crucial element in the whole success for providing scientific support to policymakers is, of course, feedback. If the reports which some produces only end up in a drawer and no one says what they have done with it, it makes no sense. So it is quite important that such a high-level group which provides scientific support to policymakers or chief scientific advisor, like you have in a number of countries, that they get systematically feedback on what has been done with their recommendation. And again, it's completely up to the politicians to decide whether they will follow it or not. But of course, it is, I think, only fair to a high-level group, to scientific support mechanisms for policy making, that they get feedback so that they know what has been done with their recommendation. We have had that. We have received feedback from the recommendations on the emission of CO2 vehicles. We have received feedback on new techniques in agriculture biotechnology. Here you see a very nice example that in the proposal on a legislative initiative, you see very clearly that the recommendation and the opinion of some is quoted, is cited by the EU Legal Service. So from that point of view, you see very clearly that the Commission indicates clearly to some what it has done with these recommendations. So these are, for me, 6 ingredients for success if you want to have a mechanism for scientific support to policy making. And I think it's very nice that we were able to change the program, because Janusz will certainly, from his experience, be able to say a few more things about how this functions on a day-to-day basis. What for me has been very important in this exercise with some is the complete independence and autonomy of the high-level group. The high-level group functions completely by itself. The Commission provides support, but the Commission will never steer the advice or try to steer the advice in a certain direction. It's really the high-level group which is responsible for drafting the policy recommendations and for presenting these policy recommendations to the individual commissioners. So once again, very grateful for the invitation. Congratulations once more, and I look forward to our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.